cinema is a unique business. So say a cinema screen channel loudspeaker, it really only lives in a cinema. It's behind a screen and has particular performance characteristics that are different from the rest of the audio industry, although they share similarities. And all of the things that are unique. So if you look at how many manufacturers manufacture projectors, let's say, it's very few when you look at how many visual display companies are available for, say, home use. And so same thing with loudspeakers is you need to be a company, we find, that is large enough to meet the demands of cinema and small enough to care.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Daniel Loria, the editorial director of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition. And in this week's episode, Rebecca Pahle speaks with Francois Godfrey from Moving Image Technologies, a tech provider specializing in outfitting cinemas. They're the guys that make sure that your renovation or new build has the best technology properly installed. A fascinating conversation about the ins and outs of cinema outfitting and design that is coming up in the second half of this episode. But before we get there, I'm joined by Rebecca and our other colleague, Chad Kennerk, in discussing the latest developments in the race to acquire Warner Brothers, as well as the record opening weekend from Scream 7, with a record $64 million opening weekend for the franchise. That is $20 million more than the prior installment, Scream 6, that opened up a couple of years ago. That $44 million benchmark from Scream 6 was the prior record holder. This $64 million domestic debut for Scream 7 is nearly twice the total domestic gross of Scream 4. And Chad Kennerk, we have to call it as we see it. You're the only one out of the three of us that like this thing. Where did you watch it, and why do you have a different opinion than we do? Let's start with the positives.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Nick at the Regal Coldwater Crossing in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is where I was this weekend. I was able to get over there and catch that. And, you know, I knew going in, this is going to be a Scream movie. It's going to follow the same format. I had a great time with the audience I was with, and I think that always makes a big difference. I thought it was fun. I had more fun at this one than the last one.
6 had better set pieces for me.
Yes.
I think Daniel and I are both the villains. Were kind of that was an underway. It feels like it was just, you know, we're gonna hit all the beats that we need to hit in a Scream movie, but not for me. I don't know. I think it would probably, it's down near the bottom of the list for me in terms of Scream movies.
Unfortunately, sadly. For me as well. Where did you watch this, Rebecca?
AMC Lincoln Center IMAX, Lincoln Square IMAX.
Oh, that's one of the best in the country. So you were...
If we're going to see the first Scream movie to be released in IMAX, you got to see it in the screen. It's the biggest IMAX.
Yeah, no, that's a great location. I drove up to see it at one of my local theaters here, the Look Dine-In Cinema up in Dobbs Ferry. I had a really good meal. They get F&B right there. Highly recommend their empanadas that they do. They have a really good like chimichurri sauce, which is delicious. So I went up there to watch it. And it was very interesting because half an hour in, the people in the seat next to me walk in half an hour late. And the guy taps me in the shoulder 30 minutes into this movie in a dark auditorium and goes, "What did we miss?"
Oh my gosh.
What did we miss in my ear? As if I know this guy, as if I'm willingly going to give the information.
Where's Melissa Barrera?
This doesn't look like Wuthering Heights. No, he actually did that, which I found wonderful.
So what did you say?
Well, the truth, which is not much. 30 minutes in, you didn't miss much, buddy. It's okay. It's about to get started. No, I liked the first maybe 45 minutes to an hour. I think there's a good set piece with a ghost face, and then something happens in that set piece that goes into spoiler territory. But the first ghost face chase of Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott's character, in her home, that was great up until that point. After that, which happens like 45 minutes in, it's probably the end of the first act of the film, the rest of it didn't work.
actually trying to parse who the villain is. But that opening scene that has, as always, the opening scene is kind of its own little short film separate from everything else. This one had Jimmy Tatro of American Vandal fame visiting the Stu Macher house as kind of an Airbnb experience. That, I thought it was predictable in how it went, but I didn't mind that opening scene.
Yeah, after that opening sequence, I like you mentioned it didn't really work. I would actually say the demarcation line here is when the Scream movie has to pivot into a murder mystery, Scream 7 fails.
The whodunit element doesn't work. And I mean, I get it. It's the killer always has to be someone you know, so there are limited options.
Well, you have to introduce,
but
like,
surely you can do better than
characters with
that.
very limited screen time, so they might be a person you know. And I do think that's part of the issue here. And we mentioned this in our episode last week, going over all the Scream movies. The Scream movies are only going to be as good as that murder mystery reveal at the end. Even Scream 4, which is inconsistent, the reveal is so good that you kind of give it more than you're willing to. And Scream 6, which has some of the best set pieces in the entire franchise, I think the murder mystery is so weak at the end of Scream 6 that it takes away with all the good work done earlier in Scream 6. So a rubber match here in Rebecca and I disliking Scream 7, but Chad being behind it. We get it. We understand it.
I mean, it was fun at parts. And you don't expect going into Scream 7 to be blown away by it. So
yeah, I think it was a good time all in all, going to the movies on opening weekend with an audience, with a crowd that's excited. Best opening weekend so far of 2026. We needed it, guys. And you know who else needed it is Paramount, which just paid or is about to find $110 billion under Larry Ellison's couch, because that's the amount of money that they've paid for Warner Brothers in its totality, outbidding Netflix, which backed out of the bidding process after a $31 per share increased offer from Paramount Skydance to acquire the totality of Warner Brothers Discovery. Big plot twist, a little bit expected. We did kind of say this could happen. But let's start with explaining what this deal is like. Rebecca, I already mentioned the purchase price. What's the timeline here in terms of the board of directors expecting to close this deal?
It's expected to close in Q3 2026. Again, that's assuming that the regulatory process goes smoothly, with a vote expected by the shared boards in the early spring of 2026. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got caught on the we guarantee that we're going to have 15 films a year from each studio.
I think that your skepticism is echoed by, I think, both Chad and myself.
10 Paramount films this year, 11 Warner Brothers films this year. That doesn't add up to 30 in any world.
No, not at all. You're right. I mean, considering where we were in 2025, we had either 8 or 9 from Paramount and I think 11 from Warner's. That doesn't get anywhere near the 30 that they're promising us right now. But in terms of a company acquiring a major studio and putting something on paper, what Paramount Skydance gave us that Netflix never gave us after their bid went through was a commitment to producing a minimum of 30 theatrical films annually. That would mean 15 from the Warner's division, 15 from the Paramount division. After the layoffs that have to happen in a deal like this, I'm not sure if there's going to be enough staff to make sure that can happen. But okay, that's part of us being skeptical. The good thing is it's written on paper. There's a commitment to 30 movies a year. Exhibition is going to like that. They're going to hear that and they're going to like it.
And unlike Netflix, if they put a movie into theaters, it's probably just a component of their marketing campaign for when the film debuts on screening. We do have a commitment to a theatrical window for these hypothetical 30 films a year. Yeah, they said minimum 45-day window globally. Obviously, that varies looking on a global scale in countries like France or, other countries have their own windowing commitments and the situations are different. Yeah, but North America, minimum 45-day before going on to PVOD, with the intention of 60 to 90 days or more before just going to being more widely available on streaming.
And I think that's great. I mean, again, I would like to see this in practice. There were a lot of things promised to us when Disney bought Fox that never materialized. I'll say it out loud. 2016, we had a total of 38 movies combined from Disney and the Fox divisions. 2026, when they operate as one, we had half that number from all those divisions. So we saw that 1+1 in the Disney-Fox merger ended up being 0.5. So they can say these things, but we will hold them accountable, at least in this podcast, to make sure that they follow up on it. But at least it's in writing. At least it wasn't something that was blurted out because Congress is pressuring you to say it 3 weeks after you tell investors something completely different, right? At least what we're getting here is Paramount Skydance saying all the right things to their exhibition partners. A minimum of 30 films annually, a minimum of 45-day windows, with the intention of that window being 60 to 90 days. These are things that exhibition has been calling for. And by the way, these are policies that studios like Universal don't currently have. Universal does not have that commitment for a window that long. Universal, even though they put out more films than I believe any other studio does, they don't do so in a way that the window is optimized on the exhibitor's benefit. So we do have to give at least the intention a lot of benefit to the doubt. But at the same time, you can't blame us for pushing back on these statements and for sowing doubt on promises that I think will be extremely difficult to pull off, especially if it's going to cost layoffs between both studios joining forces. I want this to be true, guys. I'm not convinced it's going to be yet, but I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for this to get to that point that they're telling us that they want to get to.
Paramount still has that Avatar: The Last Airbender movie that was slated for theatrical and then yanked from the calendar. So if they want to put that one back, that's one right there.
I can tell you from the exhibitor's perspective, unless we get 30 films a year, it's not good news. It's down to that. Now, it's good news we have a commitment to a 45-day minimum window. Absolutely. Let's give them credit for that. Let's absolutely give them credit for that. But there is no way that two major studios combining into one is going to be seen positively in the exhibition community unless their combined output is more than what we've seen with both of them acting independently for the last 5-6 years. Again, let's give them a chance to get there. Your guess is as good as mine when these 30 movies a year happen. At this point, we're good with 22. Let's start with that, let's
set those numbers, right?
Yeah. I mean, but both studios didn't exactly have 2025 slates bristling with movies. So it's, I think, a walk before you can run situation. I would not be averse to it, but I am, I'm excited to see how this develops in terms of various IP that Warner has, either is still kind of building and working with, like the James Gunn DCU films, or franchises that have kind of fallen a little bit by the wayside, like Lord of the Rings, for example.
We're rooting for them. We have our doubts. We have to be skeptical. It's in our job to be skeptical. But on paper, it's hard to complain with what they said. Am I wrong here? Like, guys, push back if you want to. Like, I don't see anything that's on paper here and disagree vociferously. I can doubt it will happen. I can express skepticism, which I am.
And you can say, like, in general, consolidation, I think is I'm not a fan of it because people are going to lose their jobs. But assuming that the consolidation, which we don't want to happen, is going to happen, these are the best terms that we want to see from the exhibition side of the table. I mean, yeah, people not losing their jobs and us getting more films on the calendar than we've had in the past would be the two big priorities. Though they're aiming to close the deal by the end of September this year is the date that they have, after which point the Warner Brothers shareholders get extra money every quarter they delay. So it's September 30th, or right around there, where I imagine we'll start to see a little bit more activity. And then after that, we'll be sort of not waiting with our pitchforks to see if that 45-day window is kept, but
I have
kind of waiting with our pitchforks to see if that 45-day window is kept.
The easiest part of this is keeping the window. That's the easiest part to get to. The hardest part is producing 30 movies, especially if there's layoffs. If there's layoffs, I don't see how you get the 30, period. And I want to be wrong about this. I want to be corrected about this, but I don't see it. If you keep the two staffs, if you have all of those resources there, even then, for two studios that don't currently produce 15 movies a year independently, even then that's difficult. But again, they say they're going to. I have no complaints that that's their ambition, that that's their commitment. We just have to call them out. Now, realistically speaking, logistically here, there's no way that's going to be reflected in the 2027 slate. At the absolute earliest, it's going to be reflected in the 28 slate, but most likely it won't be reflected in the 2029 slate. But I will say this, and I don't usually editorialize this way here, but please permit me. Mr. Ted Sarandos, I don't know if he listens. I would be very surprised if he does. But I will offer an invitation to Mr. Ted Sarandos, who miraculously saw the value of theatrical over the last 2 months that he hadn't seen over the last decade.
I wonder how he feels about that now.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very curious to hear his thoughts. But I've been combative. I've been difficult about it. But I will, in all seriousness, Mr. Sarandos, you've seen the financials. You've talked the talk. You just got $2.8 billion from a competitor to not buy something. You have one of the best distribution teams in the industry. The theatrical distribution team at Netflix is very highly regarded by exhibitors. They just nailed the #1 opening weekend last year for you on an event cinema run. You have AMC finally working with you because they're so good at their jobs. If you see the value of 45-day windows now that you didn't see before, if you see the value of having a theatrical arm now that you didn't see before, why do you need Paramount to do it? You've got the distribution team, you've got the production capabilities, and if you want to plead poverty and say you don't, you just got $2.8 billion to do it. So I invite you to this, because the reality here is that everybody in this industry knows that if you had allowed Frankenstein to release under terms that would have been booked by major circuits, not here but internationally, you would have had the best performing movie of October. And we needed that movie in October. So I know I've criticized a lot. I know I've said a couple of things on this podcast that maybe aren't the friendliest, but I will say this. If after everything that's happened in the last 2-3 months, you meant anything you said in the last 2-3 weeks, the door's open. Because you walk in with that production team, with that distribution team, and with your marketing engine, you can do real difference and affect this industry positively. If you really did see the value of a theatrical division, what is stopping you? Because if it's money, you just got $2.8 billion to do this from a competitor. What is stopping you from working with us? That's a serious question, because for the last 2-3 weeks, this guy has gone out there everywhere and anywhere he's been able to, and said, and these are his words, he's given a blood oath to Congress for a 45-day window and for theatrically released films. Mr. Sarandos, we don't need a blood oath. We'll do it over a beer. We'll do it over a beer at CinemaCon. I'll pay for it. That's fine. We'll have my boss sign that expense report. Let's talk it over beers. Let's get your movies in our theaters for a 45-day window. You'll be surprised with your market share by the end of the year if you do. Yeah, I need to.
I like it. I think
I
it
thought it
works.
was good.
Then you guys chime in.
Yeah.
You had a bit going on. Yeah, I'm looking down like the list of what Netflix has coming out 2026, festival exhibitions. It's like, oh, here's a Natalie Portman film. You probably have Soderbergh, Haynes. I mean, all of these big directors. I mean, I think it would go a long way as well towards fixing the sort of problem that Netflix has now of, I think, their reputation as to how it treats filmmakers is pretty bad at this point, I would say. I mean, you people know at this point, if you're not a Scorsese, if you're not a Perron, if you're not someone major, you can take the check, but your film's not going to get seen. They're not going to put juice behind it.
Well, Rebecca, there's an easy solution to that. And this is a company that just spent the last 2-3 months trying to become a theatrical distributor. Nothing's stopping you. You don't need to buy Warner Brothers to do this. You've got everything in-house to be the best at this. And I do mean it. Everything in-house to be the best at this. Netflix already beat all these guys in home entertainment. Where's the growth coming from? You've already got the market share. And don't start with, we're competing against YouTube. We're competing against TikTok. You're not. You're not competing against them. That's user-generated content. Add OnlyFans into the mix if you're going to use that line. You're competing against production companies. You're competing for talent. You're competing for people's attention and dollars. You're not competing for a 3-minute video. You're not. That's not your business. Okay, let's be very clear about that. If you really want to be competitive, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, and if we look at the media landscape, they're the only thing out there that's operating like a major studio, but not actually distributing like a major studio.
I mean, we've been saying, there's certain like genres, rom-coms, R-rated comedies, sort of the mid-budget, mid-level, the films that have by and large migrated to streaming, migrated to Netflix. I mean, you look at something like a Materialists or Anyone But You from a few years back, films within those genres that are not 4-quadrant tentpoles, they don't cost a ton of money to make, pop them in a screen. And we see that people do want to see that. And there's so much content on Netflix. I can't imagine that would turn people off from watching them on streaming eventually anyways as well.
It doesn't have to be everything, but imagine a 8 to 12 film slate of wide release titles from Netflix with a 45-day window. You're telling me that wouldn't play a major role? Of course it would. We just brought it up. Frankenstein last year. That's the number one movie in October. Guaranteed that's the number one movie in October. It's not even close. They led a box office in September with a recycled anime event cinema title. You can do it again. You can do it once a month if you wanted to. What's stopping you? That's what drives me crazy about this. You don't need to buy Warner Brothers to do this. They're good at everything they do. So why not try this? Why not try this? You just spent 2 months trying to convince everyone you needed a theatrical division. So build it. You've got everything in place to build it.
If you don't want to, you can Venmo us the $2.8 billion, and we'll
find out.
We'll do something with it.
We'll cut you a deal. Send us just one of the $2.8 billion. We'll find a way to put that into good use in this industry. But that wraps up our editorializing about this topic. I think we're all in agreement that studio consolidation is bad. Paramount is saying all the right things. We have to point that out. We're all skeptical, but that doesn't mean that we're anti-Netflix. We need Netflix. We want Netflix.
We have Netflix, whether we like them or not. That's just what the ecosystem is right now.
Yeah. And we really are excited to welcome them into the theatrical industry with open arms. I think there will be a lot of people very, very happy if they change their policies. And now that they've had 2-3 months to look at what theatrical can do to their business, I hope they get there. And at the discount rate of getting paid to do it rather than paying extra to do it. But what else can we say other than good luck to
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for those 15, 30 films per year.
So that wraps up our editorializing around this topic. You can visit our website, boxofficepro.com, for the latest headlines in the world of theatrical exhibition. And now, before we go to our feature segment, a quick rundown of the weekend numbers. We're currently tracking Hoppers from Disney Pixar to lead the weekend with an opening weekend between $40 to $50 million. That's the range as we record this on Monday afternoon before release. We've got another wide release here coming from Warner Brothers with The Bride that is currently tracking between 10 to 15 million. Bump your road for that title to find some success, but it is playing in premium large format auditoriums. And Rebecca, that's a big part of your conversation with Francois Godfrey from Moving Image Technologies. Could you set the stage for us for that interview we're about to listen to?
So obviously, as you pointed out at the top of this episode, Moving Image Technologies is responsible for both domestically and globally getting theaters outfitted with the best tech. They've been doing this for multiple decades. So, of course, have Francois Godfrey. I just wanted to get some insight from Francois Godfrey, which he provided specifically on the premium side of the industry. That PLF boom, is it even right to consider it as a trend? Is that PLF boom still ongoing? And specifically, what role does audio play in PLF upgrades? MIT acquired the DCS line of speakers. So yeah, it was great to kind of get the perspective on where the premium market is now from someone who is their job to upgrade cinemas to increasingly to those premium formats.
And that is coming up after the break. Rebecca Pahle's interview with Francois Godfrey.
Moving Image Technologies is a cinema-focused manufacturer, dealer, and integrator manufacturing cinema essentials all designed, engineered, and fabricated for cinema. Additionally, MIT supplies projection and audio solutions from the brands you know and trust. They provide end-to-end system solutions ready to perform with a portfolio that includes DCS cinema loudspeakers. From technology refreshes to new construction, MIT is dedicated to supporting the out-of-home cinema experience.
And I am joined on the Box Office podcast by Francois Godfrey, President and CEO of Moving Image Technologies. How are you doing today, Francois?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm counting down the days till summer movie season starts. I think everyone in the industry is doing that at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, thanks for everything that you guys do, and thanks for having us here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to kind of pick your brain about the industry here. I mean, for over 20 years, Moving Image Technologies, you've engaged in, manufacturer, integrator, distributor, both domestically and internationally. I figure if there's a question, I guess, about the macro evolution of the cinema industry from a tech or even a design perspective, you're going to know about it. So
we will definitely try.
One of the trends that we're seeing over the last few years is the audience's increased embracing of premium formats. Do you even think it's right to call the move towards PLF a trend at this point? Is it slowing down at all?
No, I think that following on the heels of the reclining chair boom is new picture and sound technologies. And we're trying to get folks to leave their home. And what we say our cinemas are bigger and better. And so I think exhibitors in general are striving to bring that to their customers. And so I don't think it's necessarily a boom that's over. I think it's continuing. And then how does it broaden out to more than just one auditorium? We see some exhibitors that have up to 4 brands of what they call large format or luxury format in their buildings. And so I don't think that we've hit a bust on the boom of that, but we have a lot to grow into as an industry to help drive patrons to the movie theaters, because watching a movie in a cinema is better. And but bigger is better or more is better. That's human nature. And I do think that exhibitors have been continuously rising to that challenge. And PLF is one of those.
Just speaking for myself as a moviegoer, if it's a film that's available in PLF and if it's on opening weekend, I'm going to pick that PLF screen. So yeah, you absolutely you want to. It's not enough anymore to just have one PLF screen. You want to be able to give your consumers options.
Yeah, and it's human nature. If there's a special room, people want to be in that room. And if you filled up that room, you either need to make that room bigger or you need to have another special room.
Well, in that special room, I feel like the most prominent element, at least for your average moviegoer who isn't super techie, is the visual side of things, the laser projection technology, the large screens, the IMAX, things that are available to see and be looked at. The audio component of PLF really doesn't get talked about as much, even though it's really equally important to the overall movie-going experience. What kind of options are available to cinemas who are looking, I'm upgrading my PLF auditorium or auditoriums already. What can I do to zhuzh up the audio experience?
Yeah, so one thing to just, and I know we're talking about PLF, but we want every auditorium to have magic in it. And there are different flavors to what that is, right? And whether it's on the visual side, like you're saying, whether it's a transition from xenon to laser to higher contrast or HDR or any of these things, there's always been a bit of a tide on focus, whether it's audio focused or picture focused, at least in our world, right? And so we've been really going through a picture focused time, but we had a large audio boom as immersive audio was first being sort of introduced. And that is still a trend that continues to grow. And we see a lot of that. And it's very much coupled with PLF, right? Which is immersive audio formats or, the IAB, Atmos. That is a dynamic change. And we're continuing to see variations of that. And I think every cinema is trying to differentiate itself from its competitor, right? And so bringing those extra incentives, if you will, to their patrons is important. And so we saw it with 5.1, then 7.1, and then different immersive audio. And before that, it was digital audio on film. So we're always making incremental improvements. And so we're really seeing a lot of focus on remodels at this time. And because of that, it's a great opportunity to then adopt immersive audio while you've taken that auditorium down, whether it's for reseating, redoing wall coverings, and that all feeds into this premium experience, whether it's a PLF or that you're just upgrading your entire cinema. So whether it's a fully blown immersive audio sound system or just an absolute ripping 5.1 sound system, you want to make sure that you're delivering to your customers the best of that format. And we are seeing a lot of exhibitors rise to the occasion to bring that special experience again, everything from 5.1, 7.1 to immersive audio.
We like to say every even the non-premium auditoriums need to have that premium experience.
100%, and laughing, crying, cheering with an audience. Well, you got to see and hear the movie to be able to laugh and cry and cheer with your favorite action star or drama or whatever that is. And so bringing accuracy to the director's intent, regardless of screen size or auditorium size, is paramount to the movie-going experience because we want people to leave their home and not find a reason to go back.
You want something that is going to differentiate yourself from your competitor down the street. And while audio can be a great way to do that, some people just don't really know what goes into it. What does it mean to have top of the line sound? What does it mean to have this immersive sound quality? It really helps to have a brand that is trusted, which you can definitely say that DCS is a brand that's trusted in the world of immersive audio. It's a loudspeaker line that MIT bought lock, stock, and barrel late last year. Can you tell me a little bit about DCS, about why MIT acquired it? And maybe, I know it was, so you were saying earlier, it's been around since the very beginning of immersive audio.
That brand, as you mentioned, I was fortunate to work at QSC when we launched that brand with a bunch of other talented individuals, Barry Farrell, Danny Pickett, Sam Hines over there. We really grew that brand. And like you said, it was at the infancy of immersive audio. So it was really a 5.1 and 7.1 sort of landscape at the time. And we had set out to bring a loudspeaker brand that was easy to install and performed very, very well as prescribed. And then that really grew into an ecosystem there. And so about 3 years ago, we also had picked up the assistive listening and closed captioning products from QSC. And we saw this as an opportunity to take on this loudspeaker brand, which is a premium product that's been used in thousands of screens around the world. And we felt that we could lean into that product as we're looking for additional products to market around the world, and that we can really focus on cinema. So yeah, that was the genesis of us taking that on. Was there was an opportunity to make a full asset purchase. So we did execute that. And so we've onboarded all that. And we're proud to be the stewards of this line that has served the industry well. And we intend to grow that line and have it serve the industry well for quite some time.
And there are options in that line for everything from your biggest premium auditoriums down to little boutique, more luxury options as well. It's the whole gamut.
Correct. So we think of PLF or premium as large, but premium is a product category, and so from an audio accuracy and so forth, the DCS line really has that. It was a 20-year development and excelled all the way through that time. But it's about having great products for whether it's 5.1, 7.1, immersive audio, all of that, and having the right tools to be able to perform to those standards or exceed those standards. So yeah, it's a premium product for all auditoriums. It's a great performer and has been relied on. So it's really products that people know, products that people know the performance. And we've just onboarded that because we believe that cinema needs these unique products to create these unique experiences in communal viewing. Specifically with audio, it's really about us globally being able to meet a standard. And actually, if you really build a great room and meet the standard, whatever format that is, audiences will come back. It's when you under-equip, I always say, it's one of my lines, don't walk over dollars to pick up pennies, right? If you under-equip an auditorium, then the loudspeakers are going to strain. If you under-equip an auditorium, the picture is going to be dark, right? And so having what in technical terms is headroom is a good thing because it gives you longevity of the product and also makes the audience satisfaction much greater.
People think, oh, volume, I'm not hearing something. I'm not just going to make it louder. And that's going to make it more intelligible. And as someone who goes to the movies a lot and suffers from hearing loss, that is not the case.
Yeah, when it gets more shrill, it has an improved dialogue intelligibility. And that's really one of the things that you start with, right? Which is, can I hear the dialogue? Am I leaning forward in my chair? And when we're talking about the movie-going experience, no matter where you are, if you walk out of the auditorium and somebody says, "How was the movie?" and the first thing you say was, "I couldn't quite hear. The picture was dim. My backside hurts from the chair," well, you've taken everybody outside of the movie. When they say, I thought the acting wasn't that good, or the story could have been told differently, that means from a technical performance and an operational performance that you've shown a terrific movie. Whether the movie was terrific makes no point. But
You have no control over that. Yeah, but you have control over.
Yeah. So if they're commenting on the movie, that means that you've done a good job operationally, and I'd like to think technically as well.
So, DCS is its line that has this reputation for quality, for resiliency. It's a brand that I think people who have been in this industry for a while definitely will have heard of and be familiar with. So at MIT, you acquired the whole thing, right? It's not like you're just, you have stock of DCS loudspeakers. Well, what elements of it? Like you're taking over everything, the quality control, the installation, the whole situation.
Yeah, so it was a full asset purchase, and it consisted of, again, existing inventory, but we've adopted the relationships with the component manufacturers, manufacturing and assembly, tooling, and so forth. So we have orders in right now through our supply chain to be restocking that under the DCS brand. So it was launched under the DCS line when it was launched. It became known, rightfully so, as QSC loudspeakers, but it's the DCS line that we picked up, which includes the reference monitors for studios, the screen channels, the surrounds, the subwoofers. And so it's all of that. And so we've onboarded all of the inventory. We've stood up our warehouses in China, California, and the Netherlands to serve all of those markets. We're in the process of replenishing inventory and maintaining the quality controls that were in place. So that's very important for us to make sure that we're delivering the same product that everybody's come to know and love, that it's got the same protection circuitry, performance, and longevity, right? Which is that it's a robust product line. And then from there, we can work on any line extensions and product development.
It's great. I mean, with so many cinemas adopting premium technology, you just always better to have more options for people, for the industry to really set themselves apart.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we're always dealing with in cinema is Cinema is a unique business. So, say a cinema screen channel loudspeaker, it really only lives in a cinema. It's behind a screen and has particular performance characteristics that are different from the rest of the audio industry, although they share similarities and all of the things that are unique. So if you look at how many manufacturers manufacture projectors, let's say, it's very few when you look at how many visual display companies are available for, say, home use. And so same thing with loudspeakers is you need to be a company, we find, that is large enough to meet the demands of cinema and small enough to care, right? And so that's where we really kind of hit a sweet spot, I think, with who we are as we're trying to grow the company. We're not going to outgrow cinema in the immediate future, right? And so we really can anchor to our roots, continue the legacy of this product line.
You really have to work with trusted partners in terms of tech in this industry, and MIT has certainly proven itself one of those. I mean, you look at a movie, I can watch a trailer, I can look at some stills, I can watch some interviews, but the cinema experience, I'm not going to just be able to like pull up an audio file and like, okay, that's what DCS sounds like. For people who want to find out more about DCS in particular, or the other tech that you're working with, what's the best way for them to find out about that?
So I really want to key in on DCS in particular. So we manufacture other items at MIT, automations, dimmers, LED lighting, projector pedestals, and so forth. And that feeds into a lot of what we're doing domestically with our FF&E business. But DCS is specifically being branded separately. We want to support that product. And we want that product to be available through whatever dealer that you use. So we're a dealer domestically. We have great customers, but we know that customers use other qualified dealers. So we've made the product available to the same dealer network that QSC was using. And so we're proud to offer that and work with them. And then we have other complementary products. We distribute the LEA amplifiers. So you can use this product with DCS, with LEA, or other brands of amplifiers, and of course the QSC amplifiers. So that's very important to know. Also, that we've grown our dealer network outside of the United States. So that's global. So I really want to encourage exhibitors to engage with their dealer. And then if you want to understand more about the product portfolio, what's available, you can go to the dcsreference.com website, and that's where we have all the support materials. And as our ongoing rebranding of this to DCS, you can find all the information there, or reach out to any one of us at the MIT staff. We're happy to field your calls and then make sure that you're in touch with the correct dealers. It's very important for us to support the dealers that have been supporting this line and growing the line globally. And so that is what we're actively doing, is making sure that those partnerships, a lot of them I had engaged with many years ago. So I'm rekindling some of those relationships, but many of them are new to us, but they're not new to DCS, and they have relied on DCS all over the place. So want to encourage that. And then again, through the DCS website, and we will also be putting a locator of where all of those DCS auditoriums are.
Everyone in this industry is looking forward to CinemaCon kicking off April 13th. You're obviously, MIT always has a presence there. Do you know the booth number? Where should people stop by to check you out?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be promoting MIT in general, as well as answering any questions on DCS. We'll be at Julius Ballroom 427. We'll all be present at all the other events as well.
Great. Well, it's always my favorite part of CinemaCon is getting to see or hear these new technologies. I'm excited to see you there. It's been great to speak with you.
Yeah, it's been great speaking with you. Again, thanks for everything that you guys put together. Very informative. Thanks for having us involved. And I look forward to seeing you and everybody else at CinemaCon. And let's just keep working towards making everybody go to the movies.
And that was Moving Image Technologies' Francois Godfrey speaking with our very own Rebecca Pahle. Earlier, you heard from myself and my colleague, Chad Kennerk, going over the latest news and figures in the theatrical exhibition industry. If you like what we do, don't forget to subscribe. New episodes of the Box Office podcast come out every Thursday, and we will talk to you again next week.